That was Kim Dower, poet from Los Angeles, California, who will be here soon. We have a really great guest joining us in the studio along with our producer, Tony Simone. Welcome, Arthur Woods. He's a co-founder of Imperative. He's a writer, speaker, and innovator on the future of work. Welcome, Arthur.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
Did I say Arthur Woods? Okay, good. Because you look remarkably like Ryan Reynolds. I'm looking for Blake Lively.
Best thing I've heard all day.
In the green room, but she's not here. So instead of telling us about your latest movie, tell us about Imperative.
Absolutely. Well, we're trying to really reimagine work as we know it. Imperative leads the research and development on purpose in the workplace. And what we've realized is, first of all, there's a whole subset of our population, if you can believe it, that comes to work primarily for purpose, above a paycheck and above status. And this population outperforms their colleagues by every measure. So at Imperative, we've been really looking at how do we help people find intrinsic value in their jobs every day. We spend the majority of our lives at work, and we believe work should not just be a means to an end. So we've been researching how to bring fulfillment and meaning to people in their jobs.
We just had Jeff Salingo on, I think, last week or the week before, and I was reflecting on his books because he's written a number of bestsellers, and he helps millennials get jobs, what to do after college, after you have your master's or your PhD, and you still can't get a job. And it's interesting to me, as an old man at age 60, that would have been like the most unhip kind of book in the world when I was out of college. You would have wanted to kill that guy. And now, all of a sudden, we've reinvented a whole new area of expertise that is embraced by today's youth. So how are you doing it on your end? Give me a little detail.
Well, that's right. Those books are becoming bestsellers now. So, the way that we've identified this is essentially we each have this unique blueprint as to how we experience meaning and fulfillment at work. And we've created a diagnostic that helps people uncover what that is. And if you think about it, you fly to a foreign country and you expect to survive, but you can't speak the language. It doesn't work. So for us, giving people the language of what gives them purpose is the pathway to helping them actually achieve it at work. So this platform we've built helps individuals, teams, and the leaders of organizations really create a vocabulary of purpose so they can measure it, they can communicate it, they can manage it.
So then what comprises your client list? Is it both sides of the table?
It's a wide variety. Nonprofits, for-profits, government organizations. I was just in Houston with the Department of Interior. So we see even public agencies flocking to this. Everyone wants meaning at work, right?
But you don't have individuals then. It's strictly for businesses.
It's organizations, but we have over 60,000 people that have gotten on our platform at imperative.com, and they've created a profile showing them what actually gives them purpose at work. And so an individual can log in. We tend to work with organizations to bring this to their folks, from LinkedIn to West Elm all the way to Department of Interior.
Isn't it true that there's this, what's this out there, that a majority of folks are not happy at work in the U.S.?
Yeah.
That could be negative.
No, it's true. I mean, from what I've read, Gallup comes out with an annual employee engagement study, and it shows that 70% of the workforce is disengaged at work. So we can definitely see that work as we know it isn't working.
Is that because we have so many distractions like the internet and the web and things like that?
Hold on, sorry, I'm on my phone. Oh, sorry, what'd you say? No.
Let me check my Twitter.
Let me check. Can you tweet me? No, I think technology, it's one of the things I talk a lot about is technology, while it's opened so many doors, has also cast many shadows.
Right.
And, the Pew Research Institute has an annual study on loneliness. Loneliness is at an all-time high this year, despite our countless means that increasingly go up through which we can connect on technology. So we can definitely say that loneliness in many cases has been caused by our increasingly virtual connection, not in person. And so I would say so. Yeah, technology probably.
Nobody just sits down in a radio studio anymore and has a conversation.
This is real community here. This is real community.
That's hilarious.
I feel very close.
I'm impressed. How did you come to? You're a co-founder of Imperative.
Yeah.
Like what made you wake up one day and be like, I want to find people's purpose at work? Not all of us think that way, right? But what what like led you to this? I know you're from the
It's-
startup
yeah.
Google world, and
Right. It was a really circuitous path. So my previous
It's a
job
great
was
word.
Yeah, right.
Circuitous path.
SAT word.
Yeah.
I get some points
Siri?
there. So I was previously at Google. I was leading operations for YouTube's educational division. And one of the things I woke up one day and realized in many cases, while Google had given me so many extraordinary benefits, perks, free lunches, Google bonuses, the actual work that was fulfilling me was the ability to make an impact, to have a strong sense of community and to grow and learn personally. And I actually discovered that countless peers and colleagues of mine at Google weren't actually fulfilled at work. I mean, that wasn't Google's fault. I think that this is the case for so many people in large corporations. So it caused me actually to kind of reimagine what I was going to do with my career. And I said, if I can be a catalyst for people reaching greater meaning and fulfillment in the area of their life where they spend the majority of their time, which is work, that would be a good use of time. So it was a pretty interesting path, and I was introduced to my co-founder, Aaron Hurst, who had founded a group called the Taproot Foundation. He was really the luminary behind the pro bono service movement that exists today. So he was a good partner in crime to be doing this with.
And what do you think is the most important thing for corporations to understand today that they're missing in terms of relating to their employees?
It's a great question. I think corporations today have still embraced the design of work that we inherited from the industrial economy, where people clock in, they clock out, they're given sort of a carrot or a stick. You're either, rewarded or you're chastised. And in many cases, it's sort of missing the fact that in work every day, these are human beings, and human beings are not just inspired by a paycheck. They're inspired by feeling like what they do matters,
Right.
and they're inspired by coming to work every day to connect to people they actually care about and have a sense of community around. So in many cases, I think we've lost our soul in terms of, how we look at work, and corporations have missed the fact that at the end of the day, these are human beings. There's sort of a simple pragmatism that we can embrace to sort of get back to what matters at work. And
Well, so we're living in a digital age with a lot of analog rules still.
right.
And we've lost. There's my theory as a geezer here, as the old sage at 60 years old. I worked for Time Incorporated and all their magazines back in 1983.
Yeah.
Before we had email, and they would send out like memos, and they would say, today after work at 4:30, we're going to have a pouring, Pouring,
Yeah.
which meant that they were going to pour a lot of alcohol. And
pouring. I
Pouring.
thought it was a religious thing.
No.
Yeah,
Well,
it
it was
sounded boring.
very
That's
religious
right.
for some, but I'm thinking that in the madman culture, you were able to get a little hammered at lunch or have a
Yeah.
drink somewhere. And if you
three
take all that
martini
fun
lunch,
stuff
yeah.
away, then you can't just replace it with what do they call it? Team somethings.
Offsites.
Yeah, offsites exactly.
Well, offsites typically involve alcohol these days too.
Oh, good.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Just a
Count
different
me in.
method.
Right.
So we are heading in the right direction if we have a company like Imperative and Arthur Woods at the helm, guiding corporations to the right place.
I appreciate that.
I mean, you work with smaller companies too.
We do, we
like
do.
agencies. Like how does a small agency survive in this economy where they're dependent on client work, right? I know a lot of friends who work at.
Well, your husband.
Yeah, I was gonna say a little conflict here, but my husband, who you've met with, he Factory 360. It's a great company.
Yeah.
Started by our friends, and he joined them. It went from 3 people to over a dozen. I think they're up to 20 people now.
Yeah.
They have some big name clients, PayPal. But there always is this challenge of retaining employees. You lose the client, you lose the funds
Sure.
for the employees, and you have this challenge on keeping morale up.
Yeah.
Things change quickly in our economy, and with the freelance economy, how do you meet that challenge
address
and
that,
not get overwhelmed by at the end, which is the bottom line? Oh, we can't afford to keep these folks.
Yeah. Well, I think in many cases, people are going to start, and they already have, signing up for work because of the lifestyle choice.
Right.
And I think so much of what's driving people to put startups on such a pedestal is wanting this idea of work-life balance, wanting to not be a cog in the wheel, but to know that your work makes a difference every day. You're indispensable in a startup, right? This is sort of the myth that we've carried. Now, I'll have to say, for the record, I think only 10% of the population is crazy enough to be wired to thrive in a startup. But so many people want to go and work for startups because there's this idea that it's cool. Yeah, and you get to do meaningful work.
When I got out of school, it was the banks, political campaigns, or now it's startups.
So I think that, smaller organizations, even if they're client and service oriented, are going to be continuing to attract great talent because people are flocking to that lifestyle. But it is interesting, and I think in many cases, a lot of our clients are still interested in analog, offline, workshop-based work over technology because they're sort of losing the human touch when we keep sending people links to everything, right? So a lot of our work still is keynotes and workshops, and it's getting in the door with clients, then sharing our software with them, then sort of getting them on board. But that community touch is still so important.
So if we're going to wrap this up, I guess my final question would be: is the startup industry? It's not an industry, but are startups hitting their peak the way tech stocks did way back when in like the year 2000? And are we going to see another change?
It's interesting. I think we're going to start to see in general every company, whether it's large or small, embracing a startup mentality. And we're already starting to see this with this idea of sort of intrapreneurs or having embedded innovation labs within organizations that actually have an autonomous feel. So that's already happening. I think that's part of retaining the greatest talent.
So we're taking stuff from that and giving an entrepreneurial bent to different companies, like Sam Walton did with Walmart, the reverse pyramid, so everybody's on top and he's on the bottom.
That's right.
Supposedly, that was his theory.
So I think the way that corporations will try to stay ahead is by building in sort of startup culture internally. And we're already seeing agencies within organizations that pitch against other agencies inside those organizations because they're trying to create this sort of startup scarcity mentality that says we have to stay on top by competing, we have to stay on top by innovating. So I think we'll already start to see that. This is an interesting year for startups in that we're sort of seeing this bubble deflate a bit in terms of the market, but we'll see if it comes back.
Well, this has been really interesting. This has been Arthur Woods, co-founder of Imperative, and I hope you'll come back and visit with us and give Tony and I some advice, since we're really a startup radio show.
That's right.
On an old analog station.
For free. We'll pay you later. No,
I love it.
We'll give you a good commission.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us, Arthur.
Thanks for
All right. Thank you, Stu.